All right, welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started on time. We have some special guests here talking about how we're doing, how we're operating in a virtual environment. So we have Mike Wallace out of Detroit and Jude Wilson out of Orlando. And Carl, where are you at in Florida? Right around Naples or in Naples?
Naples.
Yep, great. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah, so today we're just going to talk about, what's working and what's not working of operating and doing marketing and sales in a virtual environment. I'll go first. I've been operating on the Ring Central platform, which is pretty much white labeled Zoom. I'm very familiar with that. We are on GoToWebinar, and so I couldn't get, as I was sharing with you guys, I couldn't get my microphone to work, my camera to work. I got a virtual background. Instead, you're looking at my kid's guest room here. So, yeah. So that's what's not working for me so far. But this has been an evolution, I know, for my practice of getting used to operating in this virtual environment, and we've made huge strides. So we've done 4 webinars so far, and I've seen unbelievable difference in the advisors that are presenting the webinars, Jeff and Brian out of my practice, from the first one to the 4th one. It was a marked improvement, and all kinds of little things, from technology issues to communication to call to actions to the length of the webinar and the visuals and voice, up and down, and, kind of just the tonality of your voice and how you use it. So we're learning fast, and I'm sure you guys are too. So I want to turn it over to you guys quickly here. So we'll kind of go one by one, just kind of throw out some different questions to get your responses on. But let's start with the client. So Mike, let's start with you. What are your clients' top questions and concerns? What are you hearing from your existing clients?
I mean, probably the biggest, the number one concern you get from anyone is, am I okay? How's it going? How's my stuff doing? And that's the beauty of using the bucket planning approach and using the plans with our clients, because this is the exact reason we put these plans together, was for these types of situations. Nobody here could have ever predicted what's happened. Nobody. Yet by sticking to a great plan and using that holistic planning approach with our clients, they have been okay. So they've been a lot of, just reassuring, even some of the clients that may not have a lot of money or may have most of it in safe stuff, just to touch base with them and let them know that we're watching, we're concerned, we're in contact with you, and that we have a plan, and the plan is working exactly like we put in place for you.
Yeah, that's great. Grateful for their soon buckets right now. Right? Yeah. How about you, Jude? What are you hearing?
The same question. The experience is a little different because, as you know, my clientele falls into about 2 ranges. There's the much older clientele that's in Bradenton, and the younger baby boom clientele that's in Orlando. And so what has just become really apparent to me is that the older clientele has really started to embrace the technology. That was shocking to me, because we had been doing web meetings in Orlando before this all happened, and most of our clients, don't like coming to the office in downtown Orlando, so they like we're using Join.me instead of Zoom or all the other platforms. We had offered it in Bradenton when I first started in that office 2 years ago, but we really didn't get a lot of good reception doing the virtual meetings, and now everybody's open to it. And so, to piggyback on what Mike was saying, first of all, that one point I wanted to make, and then to piggyback on what Mike was saying, everybody's grateful for their Zoom bucket.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that we point to, and we've been doing a lot of bomb videos. As soon as this started happening, we started sending out bomb videos. And Jason, I got to tell you, we did a podcast with Jason about oh gosh, what was it, 3 or 4 months ago. And then when I was at the bucket plan training, we did a short BombBomb video. Those two things, we resent them, and we got the biggest traction, the biggest hits as we tracking our numbers from those two. So thank you, buddy.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. That's really cool. Yeah, if anybody else does podcasts or wants to do like a little interview with their clients, I'd be happy to do that with you guys. I've done a number of those that have been well received. So a lot of people send the books out. You know, Jude, tell everybody what BombBomb is, just for so people know and how you're using it.
Sure.
You kind of did, but yeah.
Yeah, so BombBomb is just a very easy platform to send videos very quickly and to do incredible analytics. I think at first we were just using it to send quick videos, and we didn't realize the power of the analytics. We really started getting into the power of the analytics recently after COVID, and understanding who's opening the emails, who's watching the videos. Are they clicking on the white papers? Are they doing the call to action? So I would say there's basically two parts of BombBomb. One is the convenience of being able to send out a quick video, and the other part is really being able to dive deep into the analytics. And even though we have gotten into the analytics, the next step for us is really trying to use that analytics to better market, to sort and shift who are the clients and who are the prospects. One quick story, I was checking on some of the analytics from one of the videos we sent out, and I noticed there were 3 names on there I had never seen before. And so I went to one of my customer service reps and I said, who are these people? I've never seen them. I haven't met with them. They were clients of ours that we hadn't talked to in years, and they were clicking on the videos. And one of them was a dentist. We hadn't talked to him. We haven't seen him. He had a small, simple plan with us. And so we've scheduled a meeting to meet with him. I would have never known about him if it wasn't for, the BombBomb video.
That's great. Yeah, that's excellent. Carl, how have you been adapting? I'm curious to hear from you, because you were Mr. Non-technology before all this hit us 6 weeks ago. And I'm impressed that you're on a webcam with us right now.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Thank God that I've been able to take my wife to work with me every day, because she really is my IT support. John and I did a follow-up webinar. We did our first webinar on the 14th of April, and it was a taxes and retirement webinar, basically, that Dave Allison put together. And following up the Charlotte meeting where he did the training, the tax management journey, when I listened to his live webinar and then took the PowerPoint that he put together on taxes and retirement, it was fabulous. It was really, really, really fabulous. And the taxes and retirement workshop for people that have money seems to be the one that has really worked best for us. Just to give you an example, we had 40 registrants. Out of the 40, we had 60% attend, and 24. And out of the 24 that were in attendance at the beginning of the seminar, I was surprised that at the end of the webinar, all 24 still stayed, which, I thought, man, we're going to lose half these people, but they all 24 stayed for the duration of the webinar. One of the things that I found to be different comparing it to a live seminar is you really have to tell them what you're going to do as far as the follow-up. And we told them that we're going to be calling you following the webinar to book a 20 to 30 minute follow-up session. And then what I'm telling these people is in that session, in the 20 to 30 minutes, if at the end of the 20, 30 minutes, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do to help you, I'm going to tell you that this isn't going to be a fit. So I'm actually firing them before I've even talked to them. So I'm not expecting. And then what I tell them, in the same way, if you feel in the 20 minutes that I'm going into the wrong direction, then I want you to come out and tell me that this is not going to work for me, and then I want you to fire me. Will you be able to do that? So I set the stage completely different. And then when I set up the virtual conference, and John and I have actually got 8 people now that are into the second, third, fourth call already. And, you know, we're into the bucket planning, and we're talking about certain products. But one thing that I noticed with these people in our first and second meeting is all about educating them. And I've got to thank you. You talk about Mr. Non-Technology here. I'm a dinosaur. I'm the demographic that I'm selling to. And what you guys have done with C2P Central, your videos, Dave Allison's with videos have been a godsend. So on Saturday, I was watching the NFL draft, and I figured, well, you know, I'm just going to put it on mute and watch the numbers, and I'm going to listen to some of these videos that are out there. I was on C2P training and C2P Central for 7 hours. The more I got into it, the more excited I got about what I was missing. And it's really been a tremendous help. So for those people that haven't taken advantage of what you guys have put together, get on it, because it's really, really, really made a difference. One of the things that you said, Jason, is call all your clients and don't talk about product, but talk about, are you okay? Is your family okay? How are your parents? It's amazing how I've been able to make a connection just by making sure that they were okay. And then we get to the products. One of the other things that we've done is, you know, we use white glove workshops, and they've worked well for me. The one thing that I would recommend to people is really understand the demographic that you're going to be working with. I know my zip codes. I know where the money is. So I give them the zip codes that I want them to market to. And once they come in, it's worked out really well. Now, you're pretty familiar with Brad Swinehart, who is in charge of Social Connect. I had no idea what Social Connect was able to do for me. I've been doing white glove workshops since 2015. They took every person that registered for a workshop that did not attend, or people that attended but didn't come into an appointment, and they blasted them with newsletters that were current. I have 5 newsletters every week that are very current that they automatically put on my website, and that will then go out to clients. So that's worked out really, really well for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. You know what? Jude actually jumped offline, watched one of our videos to figure out how to get his camera to work again. And that's where he just rejoined us.
I didn't know a FaceTime call could knock you off. So I was receiving a FaceTime call. I clicked it off and knocked my camera off. Apologize.
No worries. Yeah, perfect timing. Let me go, since you just re-entered in a dramatic fashion, Jude. I'll go to you next. Are you doing virtual workshops? Have you done any?
We have well, yes and no. So we did a virtual workshop prior to this. It was unsuccessful. We had, I think, 3 people on there, and one of them was my mom, and I think she clicked off before the end. And so, so we have re-engineered by watching some of the videos that Dave has put together, and we're getting ready to launch our first re-engineered video, our webinar.
Okay. Yep. Good. How about you, Mike? Tell me about, what are you guys doing? You doing virtual workshops? How are you doing?
We are, absolutely. And it's still a work in process, as you know, because we're kind of working closely with you guys and trying to piggyback and learn from each other, along with a lot of the other members of C2P and the mastermind group too. But the issue is, right now we're doing 1 subject matter webinar a week, and then 2 roundtables a week. And we're working on the subject matter is right now is more of a hybrid holistic planning, tax and estate planning webinar. But we're breaking that up into sections as well. We're going to actually have a specific tax, a specific estate planning, a specific holistic planning. so that'll be rotated into that. And then we're doing the roundtables, and the roundtables, we've actually had pretty good traction with those, at least people viewing and watching them. They're harder to convert so far. And again, we've only been doing it for 2 or 3 weeks, so we don't have a whole lot of data. But they're a little bit harder to convert into appointments. But we're getting a lot more. We're getting some views. We're getting a lot more interaction, kind of like we're doing here today, getting some questions answered. So we've had some pretty positive feedback from those, and especially when we get specific questions that you can't answer in that roundtable. Those are the people that are actually scheduling meetings with us. So that was kind of a cool thing to see.
That's great. And Mike, what changes have you made, in your business? Tell us about what do things look like these days for you? What changes have you made?
I mean, I think the biggest changes, and probably all of us, even as Carl was talking about, is just technology. And I think a lot of us had the tools. C2P's all shown us a lot of the tools, but we haven't really embraced all of them, or haven't had the chance to. As Jude was talking about, I have a lot of older clientele that was not embracing it, but now has been kind of forced to embrace it, just like all of us, right? So by far, technology. When this first happened, I was booked 2-3 weeks out between prospects and existing clients. And really, at that point, I just sent out some emails and said, we're going to do this virtually because, for your safety. And, the first week or two was probably 60% virtual and 40% conference calls. But then it just, even within just a couple of short weeks, it's almost 89% virtual meetings. I mean, I'm getting, people that said,
wow,
no to
you
me.
are you're tracking to the number, 89%, Mike?
I said 80 to 90. Yeah, 89%.
Oh, 80 to 90. You give a range.
Yeah, 80 to 90%. Well, if you know Richard, he's all about the numbers, like literally to the percentage point. So he probably.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's why he said it.
Exactly. But it is amazing. Even some of the people that a few weeks ago were reluctant to do conference calls that I was circling back to, to do virtual meetings are now embracing it. So using that, and then the other technology that we've had, using it for the presentations, anything, or even workflow. I was still doing paper applications, and to use the DocuSign and to use the Firelights, and to get familiar with those things. It's a game changer. I mean, I don't think I'll ever fill out a paper application again for the rest of my life if I can avoid it, right? And then using some of the tools that you have to use for presentation wise. I'm using Adobe Pro. I'm using some of the other tools that we can use.
Drawboard, right?
Drawboard, Drawboard I use for some of my presentation. Using some of the PowerPoints. And again, I would only use PowerPoints previously for for seminars, right? And just so it's just a lot of these tools that we're using that, and some stuff that I'm like Carl was saying, I was so into working with my clients, I didn't have time to learn the technology. So it's forced me to learn the technology. And it's amazing what I've learned just in 3 or 4 weeks. And, and a lot of it's by trial and error. But the fact is, I mean, I'm conducting business. I'm so much more efficient. Like you were saying, Jason, it's really not only through my clients, but internally in our internal staff and our meetings and what we're getting accomplished. It's light years what we're accomplishing. Would take us 3-4 months previously. We're doing it in 3-4 weeks. It's crazy.
That's great. How about you, Carl? What else have you embraced from a technology standpoint to make life easier for yourself and your staff?
Well, I've learned one thing: if you're not organized, you're really going to fail. My wife said, finally, after 35 years of telling you to get organized, it took CV19 to finally get you organized. And she is so right. One of the things that I'm learning now, which I'm not Mr. Technology, for instance, getting illustrations and bucket plans, any of the documents, being able to create a folder for the client and then load everything into that folder, and then being able to pull it out without knocking yourself off the meeting. It's fabulous. One of the things that I've learned in the meetings one of my really, really good prospects from my webinar. She's still working, a very high paying executive. And after 30, 35 minutes, if I feel that there's too much content and I see smoke coming out of the ear, then I can cut that meeting short after 35, 40 minutes. And I had a meeting with her on Friday, and she says, this is really, really good stuff. When can we do it again? When can we do the next meeting? How cool it is for the client to say, when can we do the next meeting? So I met with her on Monday, and I reviewed what we talked about on Friday. Now it's clicked in, and she said yesterday, well, I guess we're ready to move $2 million. And I says, yeah, we're going to get right on that. And I've already got her booked for tomorrow afternoon. So they don't have to worry about getting stuck in the traffic down here in, Naples. In the middle of the winter, it's bumper to bumper because the population doubles. So being at leisure to work with their timetable, I think is really, really fabulous. But, watching Dave, because he's been doing virtual meetings for a number of years, it's really, really important to embrace the technology and being able to have what you need in your presentation. I never even knew that you could create a folder and load things into a folder. So it's great. It's beautiful. And it allows me to be prepared.
Mike, after I got off that call with you, where you were showing me Drawboard, I went back because I really I didn't like Adobe, and really the capability to draw in it just wasn't as good as OneNote, which OneNote I was using just to kind of sketch ideas. Yeah. And I went back to Dave and and talked to him about Drawboard and challenges I was having with Adobe, and then switching over to OneNote to be able to sketch on a notepad type of thing. And then he went back and dove into OneNote and actually got everything built out into OneNote. It works just really like Drawboard does.
Okay.
But it has the capabilities of Adobe. But it's like a one-stop shop. So we've gotten everything transitioned over to OneNote now.
Okay.
And he updated some videos that'll be released out to you guys probably tomorrow. But it's super easy to use with the client. So basically, I'm on the PC here having the meeting with the client with the camera and everything else. But then I have my Surface Go, my tablet, right next to me, just like a notepad would be. And then they join the meeting. I have the Surface Go join the meeting. And then I screen share when I want to show what I'm sketching. And I'm running through all the bucket plan slides and everything, concerns and priorities worksheet. I'm checking off the boxes, number ones, number twos, facilitating with a husband and wife. I mean, the whole thing all in OneNote on screen share, the things that are client facing. And then the things that aren't client facing, I have right in front of me. And then we're just doing the meeting right here on the PC. So the combination of having the tablet that I can draw on and flip through the slides of the visuals I want to show them, with then having the PC just to run the meeting, I'm finding these meetings to be super easy. And then I just have the hard copy documents of the agenda right in front of me, and they don't even realize it's right in front of me. It just runs seamlessly, it feels like.
Yeah. No, I have to, and I still, because I was using Drawboard and drawing on my PC, so it is kind of awkward when I'm putting my hand, to the screen to do that. So I have not been using it as much. So I do want to sync up and learn how to do that with my tablet, because I do use my iPad next to me that I keep notes on that they can't see, or some of their stuff I might pull up. So I've been using two screens for that reason, but I haven't drawn on it yet. But I think that's just to have the two screens when you're talking to a client. So if you have to look something else up, or have other notes on there while you're pulling up something on the screen sharing, I think that's invaluable.
Yeah, are you guys? How about you, Carl or Jude? Do you guys like to kind of write on a notepad or sketch different concepts on a whiteboard or a notepad as you're meeting with a client? Do you find yourself doing that?
I haven't learned that yet, Jason, but I think it's important to be able to do that.
I mean, normally, yeah.
Oh, yeah, normally. Oh, yeah, here in my conference room where I am, I've got a big, big whiteboard that's got now bucket, soon bucket, later bucket. I mean, I use it and I use their numbers and all the time. So to be able to use the OneNote to draw on, I think would be great.
Yeah. So Surface Go, and then you upload OneNote, and it's yeah, I've found it really beneficial. How about you, Jude? Do you normally use
Yeah.
a whiteboard or? Yeah.
I use the whiteboard all the time in the real world, but I just love what you said. Except I'm a iPad guy. I'm gonna have to find the equivalent of OneNote on the iPad. But I want to do that because it takes away from the interaction that we used to have in the real world when I was writing on the whiteboard. It'd be great to be able to do that in the virtual world too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the key that we've learned is you actually have your tablet join the meeting, and then you just hit screen share when you want to sketch or you want to show what's on the tablet, and then you unshare it, and then you're right back to the normal, back and forth conversation. Yeah. The other thing, let's talk about technology for a couple more minutes. The other thing that I know I was challenged with is people getting the emails. Their deliverability of the emails, or them actually opening it up and reading it. And so we moved over and we saw a monster spike in the open rate of the emails when we started doing voice broadcasting. So we did a technology called Call Loop, and so like CLLOOP, and it's so easy. We literally just record a voice message that we want to send out to all the clients. You upload all the phone numbers in there. You pick which ones you want to send it to, and boom, it just gets dialed out to every one of them. And just like you ever during political times when the politicians, you'll hear their pre-recorded messages. Well, it's the same technology, and they pick up the phone and they hear your message, right? And so we're sending out messages when we send important emails or invites or things we want them to open up. We're sending out a voice broadcast. We send it out to over 700 clients, and then we send it out to a smaller segment. And then what we started doing a couple weeks ago is using it where how you want to call your clients a lot, but it's time consuming, right? And so one of the things is we've been doing just a quick review of their bucket plan. Hey, this is what's going on. Just wanted to give you a quick update, blah, blah, blah. And you give them a quick little review status, and you send them that message, right? You just call loop it to them. And so they pick up the phone, they hear your voice, it's a customized message to them about their situation. And then now if they'll call you if they need to, but a lot of times just hearing your voice and having customized message was enough. And so it saved a ton of your time of having to have that meeting. Now, I wouldn't suggest that like every time, but that's like what we've been doing as a second round after we've made the calls and called all of them. What were you going to say, Jude?
I heard about a similar concept a few years ago through a podcast called I Love Marketing. But the direct question that I have for you, we haven't done anything like that. I think it's brilliant. What phone number shows up on their caller ID is one question. And then the second question, when I heard the concept years ago, the guy that was talking about it, he specifically wanted people not to answer so that it would go to voicemail. So he didn't want his number to show up. He wanted people to listen to the message instead of answering and listening to it. So can you speak to that, those two things?
Well, I know there's another service. There was 3 that we researched, and we ended up going with Call Loop. And I don't remember the name of the other 2. But I know there's another one out there called SlyDial that's specifically what it does. It goes right into people's voicemails. And so they don't even have the ability to pick up. I think it's through cell phones. But I don't know the answer on what shows up on caller ID. That's an excellent question. And Jude, I'll get you the answer to that, though. Yep. What other technologies? Anything else that you guys, Jude, you talked about BombBomb. We kind of talked about OneNote, Drawboard, and Adobe. talked about the meeting, where to do the meetings. Any other technologies, Jude?
Yeah, so we use one more because we faced a similar problem that you had about getting people used to the technology, the virtual technology. So what we did was we used a program called Camtasia, and Jennifer from our office, Camtasia will allow you to record your screen. So she did a recording of step by step what to do to get onto the virtual meeting. And again, we were using JoinMe, which is a little bit different from Zoom. And so before that, we were having people say, well, where do I put in my name? And what's this code? And it was just a hot mess. And so we simplified the process. Then we had Jennifer record a step-by-step video, and we blasted that to our entire clientele. And so they watch the video now, and then we send it out again prior to a meeting, just in case they didn't see it the first time. And we've noticed that people are having less problems getting onto the meeting.
No, that's
a great
awesome.
idea.
Yeah, we send just instructions like in an email, but I think the video is brilliant. I think, and even to send it out to everybody in advance, because then they're expecting to do a virtual meeting now instead of just the clients that you have scheduled appointments with. That's a great idea.
Yeah, one more twist to that. We decided to send it out in a BombBomb video. So I introduced it in the video and said, we know that you've got tough times and some of you would like to come into the office but can't. We've got a way for you to meet with us virtually that's very simple. So click on the link below and it'll take you to a recording, a step-by-step recording. The reason we did it instead of just sending an email blast is that we wanted to track how many people were clicking on the link to actually watch the video. And that was really helpful. We saw that a lot of people clicked on the link to watch the video, and that's kind of the analytics that you can do with BombBomb, is really see, and you can also see how many times they open the email. There's a way to see if they forwarded it, but we haven't quite figured that out, because like one person may have 7 hits on the email, and we don't know if they just opened up the email 7 times or they opened it twice and forwarded it 5 times. We don't know that yet.
Yeah, spell the name of that technology. We use Snagit for the same thing you're talking about, Jude, where it records the screen as you walk through step by step. Snagit is what we've been using. What's the name of the one you've been using?
It's called Camtasia, and if I could spell, I wouldn't be a financial advisor, I'd be a teacher. So I have no idea how to spell it, but I'll get
Google it. Sure, it'll come up. But Snagit will work too. Yeah. Hey, and I've got a message. Call Loop does go directly to voicemail if you choose it to. And you know what? I also do know for texting, Call Loop shows up that it's coming from the JL Smith Group. So I'm sure for even the voice, it's got to do the same thing, have the same capability. Because I know it says when we text, because we text our confirmation to appointments and whatnot. We do text confirmations like a lot of doctors and dentist office do. And then we started, and use it for the calls as well. Somebody asked something about the BombBomb platform. Let me see here. Who did you use to market? Wait. What's the difference between BombBomb platform and YouTube?
As you know, YouTube is going to have a collection of your videos. You can start your own YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. We don't have very many videos on there, but anybody could watch your YouTube channel and videos. With BombBomb, you can film, first of all, you can film your video just with your cell phone, just really quick. That's what I did in the bucket pen training with Jason. Right after the training, I just got my cell phone out and we did a quick 30-second interview. And you can send the video straight from your cell phone, or you can use your computer like we're doing now. And the other big difference is that no one has access to your videos other than the people that you send it to. Now they could forward it, but there's not a channel per se like YouTube where you can go to and see all of the BombBombs that you've done. Does that make any sense?
Yep. Yep.
Well, and it's a
Yep, it
platform.
does.
It's a platform that's designed specifically for emails, so
Yeah.
that you can video it and put, customize your message and do everything else, so that it is super easy to use. So that's the other part of it too. Just basically put an email address in and just record a 15 or 20-second video, and it sends it specifically to clients or numerous clients.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
super customizable. I mean, you can
Yeah.
put your logo and whatever branding you want. It's the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bamba.
That's great. Somebody asked like just the package of different things you should have. I mean, what I would recommend, and I'm in right now, I'm not prepared with all the stuff I should, but AirPods, no doubt about it, those are huge, right? Whether you do AirPods or what you have, Jude, I mean, the intimacy when you're talking to a client versus talking to them over a speakerphone, the sound quality and the intimacy, like you're right there, is really important. So that's number one. We already talked about having a tablet to be able to draw on and uploading OneNote. I also think a ring light makes a big difference. And so it's lighting up your face right now. I don't have one where I'm at right now and it's set up, but I normally always have a ring light. There you go. You got one, Jude. And so that ring light too will, you can get it where the camera is mounted right in the middle of the ring light. So it really helps keeping the shadows off your face and whatnot. So that can be a big help. And then if you're on a platform like Zoom or Ring Central, you can do virtual backgrounds, which is pretty cool because like I put the JL Smith Group logo behind me. So when I'm doing meetings, I have JL Smith Group. If I'm doing a C2P meeting, I have the C2P logo behind me. All kinds of cool different virtual backgrounds that you can do. So you need a green screen though in order to do the virtual backgrounds. But those are just a handful of maybe some of the technology or things that you can do to operate a little better virtually. Anything else you guys want to add?
Yeah, one of the things that we
your ring light before.
Yeah.
One of the things that we went and purchased before we did our first webinar, we went and got a webcam, and we also have a professional mic, and that really made a difference in the quality. Having the Logitech webcam set up allows both John and I to be together doing the webinar. We kind of ham and egg it when we're doing a PowerPoint presentation. So that equipment works really, really well.
And I will say, I'm a perfect example right now, right? I've only been using Ring Central, which Ring Central is the same as Zoom. It's just white labeled. It's the exact same technology. And I've gotten so used to it and comfortable with it that like I go into GoToWebinar, the platform we're on right now, and I'm freaking lost. It's like I have a professional recorder, Yeti, can't get it to work on this one. I can't get my camera, my nice like high quality camera, can't get it to work, so I'm having to use the laptop one. I mean, the virtual background doesn't work on GoToWebinar, so like I mentioned, I don't have the green screen or the professional. But this is a good example of choose one thing and use that thing, right? Because you want to master it. And that was one of the things, like, Mike, when I got on with you and I saw you using Drawboard and Adobe, I was using OneNote to sketch and then Adobe. And I'm like, we got to be able to simplify this. And we figured out how to just use OneNote for both. Because there's so many moving parts of technology, you just want to master as little technology that you have to get used to.
So you feel, Jason, that the Ring Central for you is better than Zoom?
No, we did Ring Central because we have it hooked into our phone system, and Zoom didn't have that capability. But I think Zoom does. They're the same basically,
They're
unless you have a phone system that Ring Central's hooked into. What were you going to say, Mike?
I was saying we use Ring Central as well, but it's the same as Zoom.
Yeah. And then, are anybody doing anything different with their staff right now? Have you guys done anything differently in this environment with your staff?
We've always had to do a virtual meeting with the staff because we've got, 2 locations, and then we have a couple of virtual staff members. So they were used to doing the virtual meeting.
Okay.
We with us, it's been totally different because my personal assistant now works from home. I have 2 guys in my team that we're working together. It's been kind of cool though because we've been working a lot more with clients because we can virtually. So to get that introduction for them to do certain things or to use a subject matter expert to bring on the call, so that kind of stuff, it's been kind of neat to see. But as far as our internal staff and our company, just to do the virtual meetings, to get some of the stuff done that, we can't schedule our times, but we can now virtually pretty easily. So it's been pretty cool. And more importantly, we used to push a lot of paper and to have that all done virtually now is just, it's amazing how that it's not as hard as you thought it was going to be, basically, with the staff. Their stuff that's going back and forth to 2 or 3 different people within a couple emails, and it's done within minutes that would take days before.
What's so crazy is my office, right? So I'm to that point now where I never sit with people when it comes to the paperwork, right? And so I haven't in years. So I didn't realize in my own office, we were not using any of the technology. Like we weren't using DocuSign, anything. My staff was doing all that. So I didn't pay any attention, didn't realize it. This stuff all came about, and all of a sudden it's like everybody's in a real hurry to embrace technology. And so we've made some strides there that we should have made a long time ago.
Yeah, us too. Yep.
Yeah.
One of the advantages for me is a lot of our people come April, come May, head back to Michigan, Minnesota, you name it, to the Northeast. This virtual meeting is going to allow me to continue working with these people and trying to help them, where before, I'll see you in November. And then by the time they came back down to Florida, they go see their man, Jason Smith, and he was able to do the same thing you talked about. So we can continue the relationship with these clients 12 months a year, and that's very important.
Great point. Excellent point. All right, I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys to end this up. So this could be good or this could be bad. So this is what we're going to do, and I'll go first to lead by example, is let's share one of the biggest blunders or mistakes that you've made in trying to operate in a virtual environment, because people can learn just as much from mistakes. And I'll share one. So one of our very first virtual meetings, I had Chad, who was serving as my second chair. So in the J.L. Smith Group, we always have a 2-chair approach. There's a lead advisor, and then there's a second advisor, an associate advisor that's in on all the meetings and does all the work between the meetings, by the way. So we're sitting in, and we do our first virtual meeting, and Chad and I are in the same office, right? And so this was before, the real social distancing, measures all went in place. So this is several weeks ago. And I'm on camera with the client. Chad wasn't. And it was like the client, and it was awkward. And I felt awkward, like it was like this secret voice, because Chad would talk throughout the meeting, and he's not on camera. He's like over here off screen. And then finally the client's like, can we see that guy that keeps talking? I didn't even introduce him. We started. So first I didn't introduce him, then there's this mystery voice that's talking all throughout the meeting. And so we quickly learned not making that a mistake again, to both have our cameras on us as we're talking to the client. So how about you guys? Any stories to share?
Sure, let me, Mr. Technology here. So what we did the week after our first webinar, taxes and retirement webinar, we took those that registered but did not attend and sent an email out saying, Unfortunately, you were not able to attend. We were going to repeat the webinar for you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. So we had 5 or 6 people that came to that second webinar, which was great that we didn't have to pay for. Now here's Carl, and we see John and I on the top right-hand corner in the little video while I'm doing a PowerPoint, and it was covering up some of the script. So when I was looking to move our picture down, I kicked off 2 of the attendees.
Wow. That's awesome. That's a good one.
No,
Yeah.
it's funny with us too. I mean, you're talking about the webinars is it's a different technology, and so we actually switched technology midstream after our first webinar. One of our, and off the top of my head, I can't remember which one we're using, so I apologize. But the first one we did, we only invited a small amount because we were just practicing and we're dealing with our internal staff to watch it. But we have 3 speakers and we switch off. So it was my turn to speak. I was the second speaker, and I had to turn off my camera and unmute myself. And whatever I did, I disappeared. So it's my turn. And luckily, the screen share, we had the presentation up, but that first speaker had to speak for just 2 or 3 minutes while I was trying to get back on, as far as that's concerned, So yeah, I mean, obviously I won't make that mistake again, but that was that happens.
Nice. How about
So-
you, Jude?
So I'll share one that we did, and I'll share one that I saw a reporter do recently. The one that we did was we've been using Join Me, and we're going to be moving over to Zoom next week. But with Join Me, we only have one licensed user. So basically, everybody on the team is sharing it, and usually that's not a problem until recently, where now we're doing a lot more meetings. And so I was doing a meeting, and it happened to run over. And I didn't lock the meeting, so staff people started to come into the meeting with the client, and that was really uncomfortable because I didn't even know how to lock the meeting. And so as staff people started to come in, each time someone came in, I'd have to stop and say, "Hey guys, we're in a meeting here," and it was just really embarrassing.
Yeah,
the client was good about it.
I've had that happen.
So
do not book back-to-back client meetings even, in using that same account, because I had it happen where a client came in as I was wrapping up an existing client meeting. So
yeah. Now I've learned how to lock a
Let me
meeting.
just add one thing about the Zoom meetings. I know you mentioned, Jude, that you're going to switch over to Zoom. Allianz, if you sign up for the Zoom Pro, which I think is $15 a month, if you're doing business with Allianz through C2P, they'll actually give you a rebate of $100 towards the annual membership of Zoom, which I thought was pretty cool.
oh, that is cool.
That was worth the attendance right there. Thank you.
$100 right there. That's nice.
The one I saw from the reporter was he was sharing his screen and he forgot to close out all of his tabs. Well, he was sharing his web browser, and one of the tabs was to an S&M lingerie shop that somebody figured out from looking at the tab later that's where the tab went to. So close your tabs.
Yeah, actually, I want to add something too, because I've done this many times with clients. I'm getting better at it too. But when you're doing the RingCentral or Zoom, if you're sharing a different type of screen, like you're talking about going from, let's say, OneNote to some other program. I'm using Excel spreadsheets, but then I might go to Adobe or Drawboard, either one. But you have to stop sharing and then share again. So here I am going over the presentation, and they're seeing the last screen that's up there. They're seeing the Excel spreadsheet, and I'm trying to show them all this stuff. So you have to stop share and then share again to change over, which I think the point you're making with Jason with OneNote is brilliant, because then you don't have to do that anymore.
That's great. All right, one last question, and then we'll wrap up here, guys, that we're getting from the group. But what, from a marketing standpoint, or even working with existing clients, what have you tried that has not worked, or what's not working? Anything, I'll share in our early webinars, we were trying to educate too much and not sell. And really, you need to sell in the webinars a bit, because you're trying to sell an opportunity to have a phone call. And so what we weren't doing is we weren't telling them up front what was going to happen. And the fact that at the end of, today's call, we're going to be following up to do a phone call with all of you. We weren't telling them right up front and then all throughout and then at the end. And so like the call to action, we were not incorporating in all throughout. And so we learned and started to incorporate and saw a positive difference. So it's almost like tell them what you're going to tell them. And as you're telling it to them, weave in the call to action. And then when you close, tell it to them again, right? Tell them what you told them and do the call to action again. And that was a mistake that we were making, is not incorporating in enough call to action and almost sales into the webinar, where I think in the live environment, we could do more education and we didn't have to make it as strong of a call to action and a sales kind of, approach. Where in the virtual environment, I feel like you really need to sell the value proposition and sell that call to action throughout. But that was not working for us early on, and we've kind of learned from that a little bit. Any you guys have anything to add, Carl?
It's very important on following with what you said, Jason. It's so important to do the follow-up almost immediately. If you wait a day to call these people, it's too late. You need to follow up almost immediately. What we're doing, the same as you, is we're going to tell them that we're going to be following up with a phone call to allow you an opportunity to book a 30-minute session to talk about your unique and specific situation, something that we would never be able to do at a seminar. That's very important. The other thing on the webinars, you need to look at your slides and you need to cut that presentation down to not exceed 45 minutes. A seminar presentation that used to run an hour and 15 minutes, we've cut that same presentation by 30 minutes. So we're getting it done in 45 minutes, and that's very important. And I realized that was one of the reasons that we were able to keep all 24 people in attendance. And then I used the Frank Maselli slides, which you've all seen. The three things that are going to happen. We're going to do business, you're going to wait, or we're going to get mad, yell at each other, and leave the room. Ended up with a smile. And it's worked out real well for us.
That's great. I want to piggyback real quick, Carl, off what you said. I think it's really important as you're telling them you're going to call them. And listen, people are not going to book appointments. You might get a couple that will literally go onto your Calendly invite or your calendar or whatever it is and book them. Or you say, call our office to book them. Maybe you'll get a couple people. But your best bet is to let them know that you're going to be calling them. And future tense it, right? Like literally all throughout, talk about that phone call. And be like, this is what the kind of thing we'll discuss on your call. And this is the value of having this call. When we follow up with you, we're going to have the opportunity to discuss this. And in your situation, it might be different, but we'll talk about that on that call. And so as many times as you can, personalize it to them and talk about that call that you're going to do. So, all right, well, we're wrapping up here, and looks like somebody's throwing something on the screen, which is telling me I need to say something about it. So you can access virtual advisor resources here. Oh, we have a lot of these different videos that have been talked about throughout here. So current members, you can log into C2P Central like Carl talked about. Anybody else who wants to access, call the phone number on the screen or visit claritytoprosperity.com. We can help you out. We do have a May 14th and 15th bucket plan training. So if you're interested in that, that's a 2-day live and virtual training. We'll be live, but you guys will all be virtual, so that'll be fun. On the bucket plan sales process, the best interest process. Also, if you like, a lot of the topics every Wednesday are around this kind of stuff. It's Whiskey Wednesdays. So every 5:30, we talk about what's working, what's not working, and we share improvement ideas. We bring special guests in and just kind of talk about the industry, technology, marketing, different IP that we're creating that's valuable for advisors, and we drink some whiskey and have some fun. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us, Mike, Carl, Jude, and thank you for all that attended the webinar, and we'll be seeing you next time. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Good luck out there. Be safe.